Hey everyone, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we will be discussing Dave Ramsey and his plan. I'm sure most of you, if you have been looking at your finances for a while and researching things online, I'm sure you've come across Dave Ramsey. If not, he is a Christian-based financial advisor. He's been around for quite some time, for many years, multiple decades, and he has a show on Sirius XM. He also has a YouTube channel here that's very popular. He is kind of like the Joel Osteen of financial advising. That's the only way that I could think of how to put it. He has a calming country accent and he tends to motivate through scripture and success stories and his whole kind of old wise man attitude that he has towards finances and towards life. So I've been listening to him for multiple years now, probably about 5 or 6 years altogether. He definitely keeps me motivated and on track. Maybe not necessarily him, but the callers that call in as well. The more immersed I am in something, the more likely I am to stay on track, the more that I'm thinking about financial advice, not only for myself, but hearing it from other people. And for other people, it kind of keeps me grounded and keeps me on track. It's kind of the whole out of sight, out of mind thing. So if you keep it kind of in the forefront and you're constantly focusing on it, the more apt you are to stay motivated. So Dave Ramsey's claim to fame are these baby steps. There are 7 different steps that you have to work through one by one. You can't skip them. You can't go out of order. They're very precise. It is a long-term goal for you to be more financially aware, get out of debt, build wealth, all that stuff that we're looking to do. So I'm just going to rattle off all 7 of the baby steps. Step 1 is the $1,000 emergency fund. Step 2 is paying off all debt using the debt snowball. Step 3 is 3 to 6 months savings. Step 4 is invest 15% into your retirement. Step 5 is a college fund for your kids. Step 6 is pay off your home early. And step 7 is building wealth and giving back. So step by step, it all sounds great. Step 1, obviously you're building your emergency or your rainy day fund. That's $1,000. He doesn't ever want you to go over $1,000, which honestly I do recommend, just because I feel like if you have too much in savings, you start to get kind of lazy and you're like, oh, well, I have that money that way. I don't have to maybe pay as much in debt this month because I kind of have that fallback plan. So this just keeps you a little bit more motivated. I do like that aspect of it. Baby step 2 is where I kind of come into some turmoil, some inner turmoil with that. Baby step 2 is paying off all debt except for your house. So basically what you do is list your debts, smallest to largest, and go through all of those, paying them off. It's not so much a monthly, it's not your monthly bills, it's your overall debt. So you owe $1,000 here, $5,000 here, $10,000 here. You pay off the first to pay off the second to pay off the third. So basically you're using your money from paying off your first debt to roll that into the payment for your second debt and roll those into paying off your third debt. That is the debt snowball. A lot of people tend to get caught up in baby step 2 or never finish because it can be very daunting. I feel like if you don't owe a lot of money, say you owe like $10,000 to $15,000 altogether, you can definitely clear that up within a year or two and it's not that long. But I know a lot of people have a lot of student loan debt. That's what really bogs me down. And I don't even have that much compared to everyone else. But I know a lot of people that have $100,000 plus just in, student loan debt and car debt, things like that. So that's where the Dave Ramsey plan may not be as motivating as you need it to be. Again, it depends on how much money you have coming in. If you can take a lot of money every month and put that towards debt, you can knock it out really fast. I know a lot of people don't have that option though. So that's kind of where people tend to get bogged down a little bit. So like when you owe, say, $100,000, that baby step, a baby step 2 turns definitely into a mountain. For baby step 2, Dave suggests basically isolating yourself and getting extra jobs, extra side hustles, selling cars, selling your house, selling everything you own, which I'm a major supporter of anyway. I hate having extra clutter around the house, so if I can sell it or get rid of it, that just makes my life easier as is. If you followed me on either of my channels for a while, you'll know that I pretty much have always had extra side hustles, whether it be extra jobs, YouTube, selling my stockpile while couponing, things like that. So I definitely am a huge supporter of that in that aspect. We have been doing the Dave Ramsey Plan since January of 2018. That first year, we were able to pay off a large chunk of our debt. I won't get into all of our numbers. I may do a separate video on that later. But basically, we paid off a huge chunk of debt in 1 year. We paid off $18,000, and we were doing great. We weren't buying anything extra. We weren't going anywhere. We weren't doing anything. It was a very boring lifestyle, but we were like knocking through all of this debt, and it was fantastic. We had just bought a house a few years before, and we had run up some money on credit cards to furnish the home and a couple things like that. Of course, we have student loans, we have cars. So we were paying off a lot of debt. We had accomplished a lot. And then 2019 came and we decided to take a vacation. So the problem with that is our tiny little vacation budget turned into a huge sprawling vacation where we had rented multiple cars and we had went on really expensive dinner dates and just did kind of like the whole nine, a huge extravagant vacation, which was absolutely amazing. But there was a lot of guilt that went into that because we had splurged. We had cash flowed most of it. We did end up using a credit card for our plane ticket and as well as a dinner that we had planned that was pretty expensive. So we did put that on card, but we had paid that off since. So obviously putting anything back on our credit card was a huge mistake. We both felt super guilty about it. It was an amazing trip. Don't get me wrong. I would have done it again. It's just that I wish we would have been a little bit more prepared. We kind of went crazy and had done a lot of things that were out of our budget, but it ended up being fine. It's just that you feel like you kind of let yourself down at the end of the day because you could have taken that money and paid off some extra debt along the way, but you didn't do that. So that's my problem. My hang up with the whole Dave Ramsey thing is it makes you feel like you can't do anything for yourself. I feel like 2019 was like completely lost for us. We still ended up paying about $7,000 off in debt. We paid off a vehicle, which was a huge help to us. We cash flowed quite a few dental procedures for both of us, so that was nice to be able to do that. And we still ended up coming $7,000 under in debt, which was great. But coming from the year before, paying off $18,000 to only paying $7,000 off the next year was definitely a wake-up call for us. We had definitely been lazy in 2019. So starting 2020, we really buckled down again. And unfortunately, this whole pandemic thing happened and or is happening. So we are just kind of taking it one day at a time. We were hoping that our plan altogether, aside from this vacation, would take us about 3 years. As of right now, it's looking to take us about 4 years to completely pay off all of our debt, depending on how long things last with this. I will say that 2 years ago, if this pandemic would have happened, we would not have been in a financial position to pay off a lot of our monthly bills. Luckily, we do have that now, so that's definitely like a silver lining in all of this, because honestly, I don't know what I would be doing right now. I'd be pulling my hair out probably, because it would just be so stressful with us being unemployed at the moment. But we are able to pay our bills, barely, but we are able to pay our bills. We are pausing our debt snowball for now, but we'll kind of see how long all this craziness lasts. Paying off only $7,000 coming from an $18,000 payoff the year before definitely leaves you feeling defeated, and that is part of my problem with this whole Dave Ramsey plan. Is it's not just me. I listen to him semi-often, quite often actually, and a lot of people call in talking about how they are extremely wealthy, but they feel guilty buying anything, buying the tiniest thing. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is sometimes I just want to go and buy a coffee for myself, or a Diet Coke somewhere, or a new shirt from Kohl's. It's not even very expensive, but I feel guilty about doing that because I know that all of that money could be going towards my debt. So that's sort of the catch-22 about baby step 2. Obviously, on one side of it, you definitely need to buckle down, because at the end of the day, you created this debt, so you need to get out of debt. But the other side of that coin is you really just want to splurge sometimes and do something nice for yourself. I think that's where the budget definitely comes into play. If you know that you want to buy, say, a new shirt once a month, or go out to, McDonald's and get yourself an iced coffee once a week, you just have to build that into the budget. That way you're not pulling from money that you could be using for savings. You're just kind of using that as an entertainment budget if you have one, or just putting an extra $10 to $15 in your grocery budget to buy something that you like, something that will make you happy. I feel like coffee's definitely like my splurge item. So whatever that splurge item is for you, obviously without it being overly expensive or super extravagant, can definitely be built into your budget. It's all about balance. So that's really what I'm getting at with all of this. The rest of the steps to me seem super, super simple. Once you get rid of all that other debt, the rest of it seems really easy, right? Building your 3 to 6 months of savings. That way, if something like the pandemic ever happens again, you're fine for a solid 3 to 6 months. And just having that money in the bank and knowing that it's there will just ease so much of your stress during this time. Having that kind of financial security lets you start living life a little bit more on your terms. The next step is investing that 15% of money into your retirement. The younger you are, obviously, the more beneficial this is, the more that this pays off. The next step is putting money away for your kids' college fund and also paying off the house. We don't have kids right now, so we get to skip that step, so which is nice at the moment. I mean, obviously, if we choose to have kids, we'll have to go back and do that. But the next step after that is paying off the house, which seems kind of monumental, but if you take all that money that you were paying towards all of your debts, which tends to be a lot of money if you break it down monthly, rolling all of that into paying off your house is pretty freaking sweet. You're making huge house payments, and now this would be the time to kind of refinance your house. We did a 30-year, but this would be the time for us after we pay off all this debt to kind of refinance it, maybe into a 10 or 15-year. I know Dave recommends a 10-year and no more than that, obviously, because that saves you the most amount of money, which is very, very smart. We weren't smart when we started all this stuff and bought houses and bought cars and all of that, all those things that we wanted, rather than things that were more financially responsible and things that we needed. The last step, baby step 7, is building wealth and giving back to your community. Our long-term goal in all of this is being able to purchase an investment property in cash and flip that and either rent it out or use it for ourselves. We're not sure what direction we want to take. There's Airbnb, again, like I've mentioned in the past, or, there's multiple other ways that you can make money with investment properties. So that's really our end goal. We're not so much focused on that right now because I feel like you're kind of getting ahead of yourself. There are a lot of other ways, a lot of other obstacles to get through before we get to that point. It's always nice to have light at the end of the tunnel, but you don't want to get ahead of yourself. So right now, the light at the end of my tunnel is being out of any consumer debt, which is baby step 2. We are about a year and a half-ish, give or take, away from that right now. So we're really excited about that. It lets us start the next chapter in our lives and also gives us just a moment to kind of woosah and breathe a little bit. You're definitely sacrificing short-term for long-term with the Dave Ramsey Plan. This plan gets you out of your comfort zone and puts you face to face with all of your financial mistakes, which can be very difficult, but definitely a huge wake-up call. You deserve to be out of debt and you deserve to be happy. So if you are sacrificing short-term for long-term goals, it's kind of like the whole saying, no pain, no gain, right? So sacrifice short-term, work your butt off, save your money, don't go out, don't do anything. That way in 5, 10, 15 years, you are living the life that you've always wanted to live. All in all, I do recommend Dave Ramsey's plan. The only issue that I have is with baby step 2 and how it seems just so monumental. It's not really even a baby step. I'm sure for some people it is, and people probably only owe $5,000 or $6,000, but for the most of us, especially people who finance schooling and things like that, that baby step 2 is a monumental step rather than just a tiny little baby step. So that's my only gripe about it. But at the same time, if you dig yourself into it, this is a good way to dig yourself out of it. There's no quick fix for any of this. Debt and making money, it just takes time, and that's all there is to it. You just have to buckle down and keep your head down and get through it. This way you can learn from your mistakes and you can do better. Let me know your thoughts on this. And I know this wasn't a super long video, but I'm sure a lot of you guys have thoughts on the Dave Ramsey subject as well. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's just one of those things. It's worked well for me so far. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!